pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please turn off any cell phones and electronic devices. We have assistive listening devices that are available for the hearing impaired. I'd also like to ask for a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. All right, first item, agenda approval. Are there any items to add or remove from the agenda?
No, I got that.
So under my,
Al, did you want to add the minor modification of the pond under attorney?
I was just going to raise it. We could add it as a formal addition. That's fine. So it's going to be a minor modification of the PUD for patios at Essex Ridge.
Okay, John, is that one of yours?
no, mine is for the motion concerning the police department. I have A, B, and C on there. I also have a D, which would be, I don't know how these line up. Maybe when she records them in the notes, because my notes don't line up with these notes.
Okay.
Okay, so it'll be a little altered.
All right.
Self-explanatory when we get to
Anyone else?
I have the addition of as well.
Yes. Mr.
I have
Geiger.
2 items to add to the agenda.
Okay.
Recreation hire and access chairs.
One more time, Bill.
Access chairs, I got that.
Senior Center.
Senior center.
And recreation, ice rink hires for recreation.
Okay.
Okay. And I should have said from the beginning of the meeting that Mr. Guyman is on Zoom, or joined us via Zoom, and Mr. Broderick is also on Zoom. Anything else for the agenda? All right. Is there a motion to approve as amended?
I'll make that motion.
second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Resident statements. We have 3 people signed up to address the board. John Verniak. Sir, want to step up to the microphone and just give us your name, address, and
My name's John Murniak, 716 Ridge Road. Snow quarries today, interesting, huh? Under here. Listen, couple things. My question is do you know how many small businesses operate in this town? I don't think anybody knows, because number one, there's a lot of them that operate out of their homes, okay? And with COVID, it's created a situation now where more people are operating out of their homes, right? In some particular cases, it's given the opportunity for code enforcement to go after these people. In some other cases, they overlook it, okay? So my question to you guys is, are you going to address at some point in time some way that a small business, and I'm saying, we have, of course, all know about landscapers and stuff, but say somebody that's doing auto detailing work out of his house, or maybe he's doing painting out of his house, or maybe he's doing electrical work out of his house. Okay, that's a small business operating here in the town, okay? And if it's in a residential area, it's not allowed according to code, okay? According to Mr. Masters, those situations can only be rectified by either it stops, or which might be the livelihood of that individual, or the town board addresses that and you come up with some type of a or something that allows for some type of small business. In Youngstown, they're already talking about that, because they have people doing that. So I bring this up to the board, okay, and when my son is here, shows up, he may address that also, all right? So that's the one I want to get on record for, okay? The second item that I wanted to bring up was, in my professional career, I have worked with building departments in many towns, okay? I've worked with Dominic Swan, who's the supervisor in Wheatfield now, when he was building inspector. Had a great relationship with him, very practical individual. I worked with Tom Ketchum, who was the building inspector in Amherst. He had a lieutenant in command, Bob Danny, who was much like Tim Masters, black and white. But Tom Ketchum was the type of person that wanted to be practical, work with that individual that's trying to do something in their town to make whatever happen, okay? So, having said that, I mean, I've worked in other states with building departments. I worked with in Indianapolis with Indiana's building department, because everything goes to the state there before it comes back to the local building department. Working with our building department here, okay, and it's changed. Used to be practical. We had Bob Coulter here for a lot of years. Maybe people liked him, maybe didn't like him. But when you came to him with something, he tried to work with you and steered you through the process to get your approval from the town, whether it be from a variance board or something else, okay? To run into the situation now where we have a situation that is, it's black and white in code enforcement, okay? They're taking an individual who grew up in this town for 33 years, 34 years, as a small business in this town. Does 90% of his work for residents in this town. But the answer out of code enforcement is move to another town. We don't want you in our town. I think that is totally wrong. This code enforcement should be working. You should be able to work with them and help steer the process so that things will come before you guys. Now, December 28th of last year, a zoning change came here. Okay, now I don't know if it was the right process that was followed, all right? Went to code enforcement. It seems to me they just threw it on the agenda and you guys went ahead and said, no, we're not gonna do spot zoning. Code enforcement says that individual created his own problems, so we're not gonna even consider anything else. I'm gonna basically tell him, go to another town. I think it's totally wrong. You guys, who oversees the building department? Who on the board is responsible for overseeing what is being done? We're not talking about coming here with an asphalt plant, an out-of-town developer. We're not talking about something else, some other big business that's gonna come to this town. This is not a developer, because if it was a developer, which I've heard from recently, oh, if you want to build expensive homes in this town, they're more than willing to work with you, okay? But if you want to have a small business in this town, forget about it, okay? We're going to do whatever we can to run you out of the town. So I put it on you guys, okay? Somebody on this board ought to investigate what's been going on in the process. I mean, I personally was dragged in before Judge Sheeran because of a violation on my property. A couple trucks parked on my property, all right? Escalated to the point where they were threatening a $5,000 a week fine if I didn't remove those. Yet, I've got a whole list now I've started that I'm going to submit to Mr. Masters, Steve, Broderick, you're going to get a copy of it, of other people with the same violations, but they're not being addressed. I don't think they're being addressed. Judge Sheeran, a nice gentleman, he says, work with code enforcement. You can work it out. Their code enforcement is nothing you can do, take your business and move to a different town. It's wrong for citizens that have grown up in this town, wanna be in this town, wanna work and support people of this town, and yet they're being driven out of town. So I'm asking you tonight, okay, one of you, two of you, however you wanna do it, take a look at this situation, and I think it should be rectified, all right? I don't think you should be driving any resident out of this town.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ma'am? Mervyn? Do you have anything to add to that, please?
My son,
I'm sorry, just your name, please.
my name is Roberta Gibbs Marnier. My son, as my husband stated, 33 years old, grew up in this town, went to school in this town, has done business for residents in this town, did work at the park in the village, which he had a very decent, very good bid that he submitted, but apparently it was too low for the board. They wanted higher bids, which I don't understand why you would want higher bids for work. It's insane to my knowledge. My son has a business. He lost $7,000 on a piece of property because the code would not justify his business on that piece of property. So he lost $7,000. He was told by somebody on the board who refuses to admit that he said it to my son to look up on Route 31, which my son did, bought a piece of property. Now he's being told by the code that he can't do anything on this piece of property, which he has bought, moved to another town, and don't understand the intelligence of this board, the people who will not work with an individual who was raised and wants to have a business in Lewiston. Yet, there are other individuals that have the same type of business. I don't know if they have been, the code has been changed and given them permission, but they're running the same type of business. They have the same type of equipment on their personal property. I don't understand it. I feel like this is, I'm going to be very honest, I feel like this is discrimination against the name Murniak. That's exactly how I feel. And if I could afford it, I would move the hell out of this town. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Steve Lyle?
Steve Lau, River Road. I want to take this opportunity to thank Councilman Jacoby for his service. He's somebody that, from the beginning, I think did the job, took it seriously, paid attention, attended the committee meetings, and just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, next we'll move on to sorry, John, I'm all business. I really
No, that's.
forget your report.
Not over with yet.
All right, department head statements. Clerk's office now. Chief?
On the agenda.
Jackie?
I'm on the agenda.
Dave, highway?
We'll bring this up later.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing. Dan, anything from water? No. Jeff? Engineering, Bob, are you online, or are you on Zoom?
Yes, I am. I'm on the agenda later. Bill?
All right. And legal, Dale? Anything? LPAX?
Yeah, I was gonna cover it under the supervisor's agenda, but we can do it right now. There's been a resolution that's been circulated relative to the patios at Essex Ridge. They're making a request for a minor deviation or a minor change in that development. And it has to do with the depth of the drainage pond there. And also, as a contingency of its approval, would require the HOA, the homeowners association, for perpetual maintenance thereof. So it takes it off of our responsibility. I think it's a good thing. I would defer to Bob Lannon for any questions you might have about it. I would suggest that the town board moves on it tonight.
Yeah, Rob Morial, I got a question on here. And number one, it says the developer to provide documentation to the town demonstrating the homeowners association will forever and into perpetuity by required to mow and maintain the shallower portions and dry portions of the revised pond area. Who's taking care of the deeper when it's loaded with debris?
It's my understanding, Mr. Royal, that the entire pond will be maintained by the HOA. The pond itself remains the same footprint, same size, same location. It's just shallower in a larger area than was originally proposed and approved.
So this resolution, this town has no liability for cleaning, mowing, or anything, is what you're telling me.
That's my understanding. Well, no.
Well, I want to make sure.
Yeah, the dry area will be mowed and maintained by the homeowners association. The original agreement with a stormwater district will be in effect. And we've gone back and forth, and I know Dave's there. I know Dave's not happy about it. But this will be one where there'll be monies set aside in an account. And if that pond ever needed service, other than the mowing in the dry areas, the actual retention area would need to be taken out of those funds.
Okay, so the town is liable for that, Steve, is what you're telling me?
Yes, that basically to the original agreement that went through, this is a modification where there's gonna be a dry area and a wet area. They're gonna maintain the dry area, and then the district, the sewer, or the stormwater district will be required to take care of the rest, which will be overseen by the town. And when you say,
What's that, Bill?
Bill, you're muted, Bill. There you go, Clyde. Steve, so what I'm understanding is that the homeowners association will take care of the circumference of it and the shelter area. The storm water drainage area will take care of any maintenance
Yeah, because as per our conversations, we wanted to get out of the pond business, if I'm not mistaken, not be burdensome on the highway department, from what I remember what we talked about. But this was originally agreed to in the original PUD 3 or 4 years ago, is that what you're telling me?
Correct.
Right, Dave Train stood up and looks like he wants to make a comment, so listen to Mr. Train from the Highway Department.
Yes, I'd like to, just wondering, we're gonna set a precedent with the stormwater district? Where's any information or documentation with the stormwater district? And then we have documentation to be submitted to the town. How come none of that's been provided to us yet? I didn't see this resolution until I came in town hall today. I heard about it, but no one sent it to me, no one said nothing. With, with the lack of paperwork or lack of any information on it, I'm requesting the town board to table this.
Thank you, Mr. Train. Any more questions for the engineer?
Yeah, I have a question. Mr. Lennon, we get these things at the 11th hour. We come in at, 4:30 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we get these things. And this seems to be at least mildly controversial. And I don't understand the urgency why this has to be passed tonight. Is there some urgency, Bob?
The developer has expressed an interest in resuming work on finishing constructing the pond. That's the only urgency.
Yeah, but that should have nothing to, your highway superintendent would
We've been
like.
talking about this since the last meeting.
Okay. Well, the highway superintendent has some questions that he wanted answered. I don't know. It's something that could be tabled for 2 weeks. Is there an urgency? I mean, they could still go ahead with the ponds.
At the last meeting, if you remember correctly, I was told that we'd address it later. It was never addressed again. Isn't that correct, Mr. Broderick?
I believe we've talked about it since the last meeting.
The developer's here. Sir, you want to just step up and if you have a comment to make, please make it the microphone.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Michael Metzger, with Metzger Civil Engineering, representing the project. And with me today is Mr. Phil Nanula, owner of Essex Homes. The question regarding the maintenance of the pond has been something that's been kicking around for a bit. Just as a refresher on this, during the original approval of the project itself, there was a lot of discussion on it, and a determination was made at that time that the pond maintenance would be taken care of through the establishment of a special district, a drainage district. It actually was a part of the approval resolution of the town board when the project was approved. There are various emails. It was very clear that it was going to be, the maintenance was going to be by the town. Now, again, as pointed out, it doesn't necessarily have to be by the forces of the highway department. It can be handled through a private contractor, but through the drainage district. More recently, within the last, I don't know, Phil, how long we've been talking about this? A couple of months now, right?
6 months.
6 months or so, we've been talking about the concern that has been raised about actual mowing of the green area adjacent to the pond. And just to, again, give you some perspective on things, once the determination was made 2 years ago, whenever the project was approved, other things that were dependent upon that decision went into place. The homeowners association has been created. It has been approved by the state comptroller's office, a division of the state. It's been approved and put into place. Attorney General, that's right, I'm sorry. New York State Attorney General's office. So that is in place. It's done, it's established, and to make any changes to that would be extremely difficult. Now, having said that, there are provisions within the homeowners association that allow for mowing of land that is a part of the common area. And in discussing this with my client, he said that he feels comfortable, and his attorneys who established the homeowners association there would be the ability for the homeowners association to take care of that aspect of the pond maintenance. But other aspects of the pond maintenance, again, based upon the approval condition that the drainage district would be established for the pond maintenance, other forms of maintenance, that has always been the understanding, and homeowners association, it's all set up for that to happen. So we would agree to take care of the mowing portion of that, provided the rest of the maintenance follows suit with what was previously agreed upon and made a part of the approval of the project.
Well, let me ask you this, if the construction starts, there's only 3 homes sell for economy reasons, I have no idea, whatever reasons there is, and 2 or 3 years goes by, that pond needs to be cleaned, there's not enough monies to clean the pond.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
Hi, for the record, it's Phil New Essex Homes. What you just said can't happen. Through the condo status that was granted by the Attorney General, stipulates that there has to be 15% of the project under contract in order for us to close on our first home. It could not happen, what you just said, legally. So we would need about 14 units to be sold under contract to be able to deem the project effective and be able to close on the first home. So there's really, I think there's 2 issues here we're talking about tonight. One is what we're talking about now as far as the maintenance go. When I was made aware of the concern, I looked at the documents and I said I could cover the mowing within the, as Michael said, within the governance of the common area maintenance. But the stormwater management district is all throughout the offering plan and the declarations approved by the state attorney general, because that's what was dictated within the approval of the project. So we had to put that into the documents that we filed with the state, which took over a year to get approved. The second issue that we want to talk about tonight is the minor modification of the pond itself, but I wanted to make sure that we addressed all of your concerns or questions we had on the maintenance side of the pond.
Any other questions from the board for the client, or for the developer?
So the stormwater district is unknown to us, and we're going to set a precedent on this, correct? We have no information on it, we've never seen none of it yet. So, the size of the pond and all that, doesn't that have to be readdressed with the Attorney General?
No.
No, but that, none of that has to be addressed.
No.
No, nothing with the homeowners association has to be addressed.
That's correct.
Then how come that part of the maintenance of the pond has to be addressed?
Because that's in the document. The document states that there's a stormwater, pursuant to town approval, that there's a stormwater.
Pursuant to town approval, yes.
And it was approved in
That's
2008.
part of it that we haven't reapproved yet. We haven't approved the ponds, the depth, the change, or anything else yet.
Well,
So this is the time to make a move now. Like you said, it has to be on the town's approval. So until we figure out what's going on, I really think this board should figure out what they're gonna do and how they're gonna set precedent with the stormwater district and table this until we get all the documentation. Because this is ridiculous.
Just
So the town's gonna end up eating this because they don't want it.
but that's not accurate either, sir.
Well,
The town isn't eating anything. The town set up, we originally did not, well, first of all, we weren't the owner at the time we originally approved. Those documents were all dictated by both the planning board and the town board approvals. So that was something that came up at the town level. As far as, there is another stormwater management district in this town, it's called Wolf Run, I believe. If I'm not mistaken on the department, on the name, slightly different.
no, you're right.
It has a bio-retention pond. Our pond is not a bio-retention pond, it's a simpler design. So it's really not an issue that was really up for any kind of discussion or approval. A request came to our company to say, can you assist us with the maintenance? We don't want to be in people's backyards cutting grass. I said, let me look within the documentation, and under common area maintenance, I can include that without any need to go back and redo any documentation to the state attorney general, right? The second issue that we want to address tonight regarding the pond design has to deal with the fact that we hit bedrock, and that in the development of any projects that I've done all throughout Western New York, There's always things that come up that were unforeseen that require modifications. This is one that does. There's an engineer design that was reviewed with your town engineer. I believe you're in agreement. I don't want to speak for your town engineer, to speak himself. And that's the issue that we thought was on the agenda tonight. As far as the stormwater management district, this isn't something that we're trying to bring forth that's any change in what we're doing. It's something that was already approved in 2018 by both the recommendation of the planning board and the acceptance of the town board. So I'm not sure why this is a concern or a problem that us as a developer are involved with. This was something that we were given as the developer that actually took over the project on a pre-approved condition of that project.
But under the common law part of this, the pond is included in it, the whole pond.
It's for ponds and stormwater drainage, yes, of course.
So the homeowners association can take care of that. Al Batson, I believe, is on
Yes.
this, you can ask his advice there.
Well,
So the whole thing should be included with this.
I'm sorry, it's just not a correct statement. In the document, if you read the offering plan that was approved by the state AG, there is stipulation of all these conditions, and there is nothing in the budget for the homeowners that was pre-approved and submitted based on the costs that need to be maintained in that project based on the method that it was approved. So we took all that information, we even researched, went back to the town prior to submitting that to verify the stormwater management district was in place. We understand what that means. There's other towns that do it. Orchard Park does it very successfully. And we said, fine, we can work with that format, but we have to incorporate that in the document. If it wasn't done that way, there would have been a different approach. There would have been an entire different analysis of stormwater management by the private sector. These are on public roads, I need to remind you. So stormwater
Not
drainage,
public roads until I accept them.
they will be public roads. They're designed and approved as public roads.
Once I
They're not
accept
accepted.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but they're going to be private, public roads, I'm sorry. So, I'm kind of surprised that this is an open issue in the town, because this is an issue that was directed to the developer. We didn't request this to be done this way.
And I did have to make sure it's clear too that, I'm sorry. Back when the project was approved, there was discussion on how the maintenance was going to be handled for the stormwater ponds. And quite frankly, we said, we don't care. We don't care. It could either be through the special district or it could be through the homeowners association, but a decision has to be made. Fully vetted, fully discussed, decision was made, done. From that point forward, we did everything else that we had to do, including spending countless time, months, if not years, in establishing the homeowners association, working with the Attorney General's office, based upon that decision that was made by the town. It was the town's decision. And so that's what's established now. And I mean, to unravel everything having to do with the homeowners association would just be an absolute nightmare and quite frankly, unfair. As far as the concept of potentially sticking the town with this, it's not the town. This isn't anything that would come back from any of your general fund budgets or anything else. A special district, just for anybody in the room here that may not understand that is something that is only paid for by the people that are served directly within the limits of that district. And that would be the homeowners within the property established by this project. It doesn't get paid for by anybody else. It's their responsibility. It would be their cost. There isn't anything that would come back to the balance of the town. I just want to make sure, in case anybody had any concerns about that it's clear that any costs derived through that district are paid for by the residents within the development. And as far as any costs that might be incurred prior to full build out of this, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe any portions of the property that are not a part of sold and built upon lots, the costs of that proportionally are paid for
By the sponsor.
by the sponsor.
We are the sponsor.
So it's fully funded. It's fully funded right from the start. It's a matter of whether Essex Homes pays for, 16 lots or 30 lots. Well, not 30, it wouldn't be 30 because as Mr. Nanuli explained, 14 of the lots have to be sold prior to anyway. So again, there wouldn't be any fallback on anything having to do with the town. It's either paid for by future homeowners or by Essex Homes until such time as it's fully built out.
Just to be clear, Essex Homes in the document is specified as the sponsor. So the correct terminology would be the sponsor.
Honestly, we didn't expect to get into this discussion tonight. We didn't know this was a part of what's happening. If you want, I can give you a little rundown on the change to the pond that we're asking
Right,
to make.
the pond is different from the original PUD, correct?
Right, right.
Just slightly.
You want me to get into that now? I can discuss that.
Well, let me-
I have one more question for you. So, instead of the homeowners paying the homeowners association to maintain the pond, they're gonna pay us.
It would be charged to the taxes.
So, what is the reason behind us receiving the funds instead of the homeowners association?
The association is a living, breathing document. It's about this thick. It is filed with the state attorney general. It took a year to get approved. And all the documents that we presented were factual. And I guess I don't understand why there's concern if only the residents of that site are gonna pay the cost associated with the stormwater management district. What is the concern if it's charged in their taxes or the association? If it wasn't deemed that it was approved that way, we would have submitted the documents differently.
I believe you were asked to submit it as a homeowners association and not the water district.
I was asked that, and I asked what the problem was, and the problem that was described to me was mowing of lawn. And I said that I can definitely handle that without turning the HOA upside down and recasting this with the state attorney general. This was something that was called, I received a phone call on, asked me as a question if we could do. And I said, I can definitely accommodate that. I put it in writing. Your town attorney sent me a statement, and I returned that statement saying I agree to that statement.
I do have some, Mr. Nanula and Mr. Metzger, you two are, first of all, Essex Homes makes beautiful homes. I don't have any problem with that, Essex Homes. Looked at them for many years when I was not in a position to buy one. They were very nice homes.
We can change that.
I'm pretty settled. You two are both the victims of not this situation. You're the victims of, this happens all too often with relatively complex matters. For you, it's not complex because you've dealt with it over and over. It's your development. You can look at the back of your hand and you know everything that's going on there. We get this at 4:30 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the day we're supposed to vote on it. And
You talking about today?
Today. And it's.
I thought this was gonna be on the agenda last meeting.
Well, it's troublesome for us. And
Well, once again, this isn't something.
No.
Are you talking about the pond redesign or the stormwater?
the stormwater and the mowing and the change in the depth and everything, yes, we had some foreknowledge of it.
They're separate items,
I understand.
very separate items.
I understand.
Okay.
And I have no problem with the depth because our engineer said that's fine. But the wording with the homeowners association, you're also being victimized by developers long before you were in this area of building. And it seems that there's always these situations come up, either A, oh, everyone does it this way, or B, don't worry about it, that won't happen, and it's not concrete enough in my mind, not in anyone else's, in my mind, that we should vote on it tonight. I'd like to see our highway superintendent say, I'm satisfied.
Can I, for a point of clarification, can I ask a question?
Sure.
We thought we were coming here tonight for the minor modification of the pond that was not related to the stormwater district. Stormwater district is already approved,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I didn't have any understanding that we were going to be discussing this, other than the request I was made to do this additional mowing, which I agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you can go to any one of our projects, anywhere in Western New York, and if our family name is attached to that project, it is gonna show on the way it looks.
Oh, I know that.
So,
I don't.
no, I understand.
Again, if you were in charge of the structure of tonight's meeting, I'm sure everything would be fine. But we truly get things that are relatively important, not all the time, but too often. And then we're expected to vote on it, put it on the agenda in short notice. It wasn't on our agenda as of Friday, but it's here today because we added it. It puts us in an awkward position.
The issue that we hope to discuss with you tonight and try to get a delineation on is the minor modification of the pond. We've been working on this for quite a long time. This isn't something that just happened a month ago.
Right.
We had a situation where we hit this rock.
Mhm.
All the storm warnings that we did in the project, we did not show this level of rock, so we didn't plan on it occurring. So the design of the pond was done as such, and I'll let Mike talk about the specific design, but when we did hit the circumstances, we approached it through engineering, which is not uncommon in site development work, that you need to look at variations that occur based on underground conditions that were unforeseen. So your town engineer and my engineer worked together, where my engineer created an engineered solution for this, and that's all we were trying to get resolved tonight.
The only,
Can I just finish the statement? So by not having this resolved, or not resolved tonight, we are working up against weather. We need to get this done. We need to get this done as a condition of the site completion and road dedication. We've had this road paved since May of this year. And we have homeowners that would like to go under contract on this project, and they can't because the road is not ultimately approved. So there's a couple of other conditions that we're working on that are really housekeeping type things. This is more of a major issue from a standpoint, not major, it's a couple weeks of work. And it creates a deeper pool in a section of the pond, which Mike can explain to you if you'd like. And it's engineered and approved by an engineer. And I don't want to speak for your town engineer, I believe he's on Zoom, but I believe that he has come, he has agreed with, accepted the modification.
yes. Well, the only thing on the agenda tonight for the board is the minor adjustment to the pond itself. That is all that's on the agenda for tonight. So, Bob, did you or Al or Steve, do you have anybody want to make any further comments or clarifications on this?
I would like to give my 2 cents.
Oh, sorry, Bob.
Okay, that's all right. All right. I understand Dave Train is very concerned about the responsibility that these drainage ponds have on the town highway drainage department. But this particular arrangement seems to protect the town's interest. What the homeowners association will now take care of the circumference of the pond and all these shallow areas, take care of the grass trimming and the weeds. That takes that off the town's responsibility. The drainage, I've lost the term there. The drainage homeowners association, whatever it is, will take care of the heavy part of the pond and changing the filter if and when that's necessary. And that takes that off the town's responsibility. So I think this is a very good working agreement that hopefully should survive to protect the town. Am I correct, Steve?
Yes, and this is how it was approved originally. It was approved that way originally. Whether we were, we didn't have the history that we do now. If this was starting from scratch, I don't think we would do it that way. But it was approved with the stormwater district, and I believe that it's looked at as now we have a loophole that we're going to change everything. It is. The district was approved, that's how it was always intended to be. I just don't think it would be fair to, after a major investment, to turn around and change that midstream. If we're satisfied with the modification of the pond and our engineer says, yes, the modification will work, that's what I believe we're here to discuss tonight. If I may, Mr. Supervisor, the discussion about the stormwater district and the approval of that prior is separate and distinct from the pond. It will be the same discussion if the pond went in as originally proposed or if it was put in as proposed to be the minor modification. They're two separate issues in my mind.
That was a town engineer about that. Al, do you have anything you want to add to it?
Can you just explain what you just said again in layman's terms?
The pond, okay, there would be maintenance of the pond under its previously approved configuration or the proposed configuration. And that was originally approved, as I recall, by as a stormwater district, that piece of it.
Is it your position that the stormwater district would, through the revenues raised there, have enough money to make any repairs, whether the town forces did it or hired out independently?
Those fees would have to be established, but yes, that would be the intent, would be to collect revenue from each of the lots. Enough with an estimated annual revenue to offset any maintenance costs that would be required.
My understanding is that in those circumstances, if you run into a shortfall, those fees can either be raised for those designated lots, or just continued into the future until they work out recouped those fees.
I would agree with that, my understanding as well.
And that was in the first design, this will follow over in the second design, anything you just talked about?
I believe it would, but I defer to Bob. I don't think that the minor change impacts the authority for the districts to have increased fees associated with the increased expense associated with the drainage.
Dave?
Once this is approved, you won't have any teeth to change any of the water district. This is your only negotiating tool right now. If this isn't approved, then they can bring it back to the homeowners association, or else, once you approve this, you're done, you're stuck with the water district. That's all there is to it. Isn't that correct?
You asked me, Al.
Yeah.
Al, did you hear what David?
Once there's a change made, once this change is
David,
approved.
why don't you step over, look, Al can't hear you, just go step over the microphone, please.
Once you approve this change, then you have no way of going back after the stormwater district. Isn't that correct?
Once you approve the change in the depth of the pond, or
This
the
PUD,
change
yes.
in the way we collect fees
Yes.
for it.
The PUD now with this here. Once this is approved, you have no way to go back, no recourse to change this. We're stuck with the water district that we don't even have information on. So we're gonna revisit this the same way we're revisiting solar.
I guess I don't understand the question. My understanding of the district, the stormwater, and I wasn't involved, this is Mr. Stevens' issue, so I apologize that I'm not up on it entirely, but my understanding of the stormwater district is it would be its own separate taxing entity or authority. Effectively, those lots that are identified in the district would share in the responsibility for the cost of the maintenance. So if the maintenance is $50,000 and there are 10 lots.
No, that's fine, we understand that part of it. The part I'm addressing is, once this PUD is accepted, we can't make any more changes, can we?
He's already
No,
been.
I mean for the changing of ponds and all that. So once we change this pond and accept this, right, we can't change, we have no negotiating tools to change any of this with the homeowners association and maintenance of the pond, correct?
I think the only change that's being requested is the depth of one half or one section of the pond to make it more shallow because of the hardships identified. And I'm just reading between the lines because again, I don't have personal knowledge, but because of the hardships identified during development because of the bedrock there.
Well, let me ask you this, Al, and Steve, I would like a little comment on you on that. Can we approve the minor adjustment to the pond tonight and leave number 1 out, which is the questions that Mr. Train has, and then we can revisit that in 2 weeks?
Well, the problem I see it, Rob, is we've already approved that. And I think what Dave's looking at is this is a loophole to get out of that. And that decision was made, like they said, I believe it was 2018. This was approved with this district. It's a minor modification to the pond. And now they say, let's change it, let's get rid of it. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's I think a huge investment's been made on this property, and then to change it midstream, we've already approved it.
So we approved it in the original PUD. Okay.
Jerry, can I ask just one clarification? When you say loophole, you're saying because the developer is now requiring a modification to the PUD, that we can now change the rules of the game. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
I believe that's what Dave's saying.
Dave shaking his head yes.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because I was against it back then and I'm against it now.
Can I comment on that? We're really not here to challenge the PUD at all. We have an engineering revision to a structure. It has nothing to do with opening up the gates to change the PUD approval. The PUD approval is already done. And honestly, I'm not trying to fight for something that is saving me anything. It's just that it is baked in, it is done. We based everything off the town approvals. So as Mr. Broderick said and others, they're not really related. It's not that we're trying to pit one against the other. It's honestly the reason I think it's called minor modification, because it truly is minor. It is a creation of management of circumference of space with water that Mike can speak to better than me, that is done in various manners. And if we had the knowledge when we did the original design, it would have been designed differently, designed to accommodate it. So now we hit the situation that was unforeseen. We came up with an engineered solution. That's all we were here to talk about tonight. What I will mention though, is because of my experience in this, and I've been doing this over 30 years in various towns all throughout Western New York, there are towns that are doing stormwater management districts very successfully, and it is designed to have the burden on the taxpayer of that project. And if you'd like, I would be more than glad to try to help in a separate effort to have a better understanding of what's required to do that, get the information from other towns that I'm sure would assist your town in being more understanding of that type of a district. But honestly, I didn't create the district. It was given to us.
If I can just add one thing to what Mr. Newell was saying. There are towns in Western New York that we work in. We work in most of the towns. And some of the towns that do a lot more land development work, they have been through this before and wrestled with what is the best option for the town. And quite frankly, with the New York State stormwater regulations being what they are today, and with the burden of responsibility being on the town for stormwater management, there are several towns that have chosen to use the drainage district as the method to control these things, specifically because the town has direct control over it, rather than leaving it up to someone else when the town has the responsibility for the state. If something goes wrong with these systems, the state's going to come to the MS4 community, which in this case is the town. And if you have that control over it, you can take care of your own destiny rather than leaving it up to someone else. And that's why these other towns, like I said, that have done a lot more of this and have tried different methods, have come to the conclusion that the stormwater drainage district is the only way they will do it for their own benefit. And again, decision has been made 3 years ago, so we support that decision. It really makes the most sense.
And just add one thing to that, it's very difficult to get a homeowner to have some partial responsibility of the pond. In the previous, many years ago, they used to have the lot lines go right into the pond. So the homeowners would own a section of that pond. So if a homeowner doesn't keep the maintenance up, what do you do? How do you police it? How do you enforce it? It's very difficult on a resident taxpayer to go in and mandate those things. These districts provide oversight that a homeowner doesn't know how to do.
Thank you. Mr. Tran, I got a question for you because I'm a little confused on this matter right now. We're going to be collecting the money from the homeowners association, correct? Now I know the highway department doesn't want to get in the pond cleaning business. I know that for sure. Why would we? We'd have to hire more employees, equipment. Is there a problem subletting the cleaning out when?
No, we're doing it right now with Wolf Run. They're going in, they're contracting it out, they're paying it to do it. My issue is, we had a chance to get out of it, I've been advised to get out of it throughout the state. All the towns are starting to eliminate it and get out of it, turn it over to the homeowners association. The fees are the same, the homeowners association doesn't want it, so they're turning it over to the town. The DEC is gonna come in and it's stricter and stricter, like they said, it's gonna get stricter, it's gonna get more, and it's gonna come back to the town sooner or later.
Are we able to
So,
just pass that?
like you said, I found a loophole,
Yeah.
whether we take advantage of it, it's probably not fair.
Yeah, it's not
But I
fair.
fought this, I'll admit it, it's not fair, but I fought this a while back, I didn't want the ponds or sidewalks. And the only thing I ended up getting eliminated was the sidewalks and the wooden guardrails from their plan. But the pond should, I don't believe should belong to the town.
The only point I'd like to
Are
make
we
is
stuck with it? Probably.
future projects, you can decide whether you want to have the district in place or not. I believe that in this case, you'll end up with two of them in the town. Wolf Run and our project. If you decide to go forward and not approve any new projects with stormwater districts, I don't think anybody's gonna twist your arm that you have to do that. That's your prerogative.
I was on the board when we approved that a few years back, and we thought at the time that was the best way for the least town has the monies to clean the pond. And we didn't know much then, it was new, but at least it protected the taxpayers that the money's there, if we have to sublet it, or however we're gonna.
Subcontract out, sure. And Mike can explain, these ponds are designed differently today, as most newer things are, than they were 30 years ago. They don't require the kind of maintenance they used to. Other than,
The type of system, stormwater management system we used here is different than what you see in other subdivisions. I don't know, I heard something about bioretention areas, there one in Wolf Run. We do not have a bioretention area. Those can be maintenance intensive. We do not have a bioretention area. What we utilized for our stormwater management water quality component was what's known as rooftop disconnects, where stormwater would be splash blocked onto the lawns, and that actually provides treatment to the water such that you do not need a bioretention area. And then the secondary component is that of that water quality is the wet portion of the pond, which we have just now, well, through what we're asking you to approve, significantly reduced the size of that wet area. So the maintenance on a pond like this is very minimal. You're not gonna touch it for years. And if anything, it might be a little cleaning up at the forebay. And at some point in the future, 10, 20, 25 years from now, maybe some dredging of the wet area of the pond that has accumulated some silt. But it's not labor intensive. It's not. It's a different design.
Is there a lot of bedrock gonna be in this pond, so the growth of whatever the stuff that grows there will be minimal?
The wet portion of the pond is going to be all within the bedrock. So yes, and that's the lowest portion of the pond as well. So initially with it being within bedrock, there will be minimal, if any, growth in that area.
Until the silt starts to.
Right.
But it'll be a lot easier to remove.
And
I would think.
just have to reinforce the urgency of this. I mean, there's snowflakes as I'm walking in tonight. This is the last piece of we got a couple little punch list items to take care of, but we need to finish this pond so we can move to the point where we can actually dedicate facilities. So it's very important that we move forward as quickly as possible with this.
Any other questions from the board?
I have one more question for our attorney. Al, if we vote for this PUD minor adjustment tonight, does that in any way modify the water district that's in effect right now and has been since 2018?
My opinion is that it would not impact the drainage district as established previously.
And that we approved previously?
It was approved, several years ago.
Okay, thanks.
And I understand everyone's concern. I just don't know how you can attach one to the other, even though we may want to. I think it's the general consensus of the board, and I don't want to speak for the board, but that any drainage issues coming up in the future, we will be hands off
Thanks, Al.
And Chad, if you remember, that's what we looked at with the Perry project.
Yes,
We're hands off on the Perry project totally.
yes, yes. I know I'm pretty well versed in it now. I sort of cramming before the exam here. Thanks, Steve.
Bill Gavin, do you have any other questions or comments for me?
No, I think the resolution resolves the issue.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I just want to make sure, Al, you are in full recommendation of this now, or do you require any more time to look at it? Al, back?
Sir, only on mute button for a second. I don't have any objections with the way this is drafted. As I mentioned, Tom Seaman had drafted the actual resolution, and this was in compliance with all of the requirements that he read in and took to the planning board.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're totally comfortable and because it's coming from him and just.
For what it does, it allows for the minor modification of the pond, and then effectively also making in that modification, you have to understand, the modification creates two different sections of the pond, one of which is shallow and from what I'm reading, may be dry at some portions of the year and then grow grass. And so it's making the homeowners, as opposed to the town through the monies generated by the drainage district, is making the homeowner responsible for the shallow section for whenever it's dry. I would imagine that Tim Masters would be able to enforce that in the sense that if they don't maintain it, they may be able to be brought into court. I would have to research that, but I'm assuming that there's some teeth to that section to get them out there and to maintain that portion into the future. And then all of those documents that would make those homeowners responsible need to be submitted to the town attorney prior to any approval. Earl?
Yes.
Conrad?
Yes.
I believe I was muted when I said, I'm very comfortable with the resolution. It doesn't totally resolve the issue that Dave Tran has concerns about, but it certainly resolves the issue for this particular PUD, and I'm comfortable with it.
Okay. Steve, did you have anything else you wanted to mention or comment on? Steve Roderick?
No, I agree. I agree. Bill Gavin, I spoke to Tom Seaman. I know he spoke to Mr. Nanula, and I read the resolution, and I'm in agreement with the resolution.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board then?
Call the question.
Pardon?
Call the question, let's vote on it.
I'll make the motion to, as presented, resolution, town Lewiston resolution, PUD minor adjustment, as Rich has presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I just want to say too that, if there were some issues with timing and things, and there's some unanswered questions, I'd be happy to talk to anybody, whether it's the highway superintendent, any of the board members, to just further explain a little bit about the drainage district, how it works, what the town's extra responsibilities would be, just to help assure you that it's really not a big
Yeah.
issue.
Mr. Metzger, we're just trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely, absolutely, we understand.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. We're still on department heads.
Really?
So, Melinda, are you online? Senior Center?
Yeah, I am, I'm here.
Do you have anything to add to the meeting tonight?
No, just talk about the chairs, do you want to talk about the chairs or?
Let's get a little farther on the agenda so we can.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
All right,
Thank you.
Rec, anything? Okay. Audit payment, Mr. Royer.
I move to approve the regular abstract of claims number 21-02981 to 21-03150. Recommend payment in the amount of $1,186,000. I'm sorry, $1,186,059.25, and a post audit of $14,109.66.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. And clerk, any old business? New business? All right, the supervisor's liaison report. I have a couple things. Supervisor's report. Upper Mountain Fire Company, we have a removal. Just, please be advised that the following individual is no longer a member of the Upper Mountain Fire Company of Lewiston, New York, Incorporated. Mr. Dan Levin, 10408. I'm sorry, 1048 LA Drive. And we also have two additions. I'm sorry.
Let's make the motion to remove that person first.
All right. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have two additions. Carl Barak, 5401 Hanover Drive, and Caleb Haiku, 5114 Country Club Trail.
Motion to add those to the list of firefighters.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next is sewer refund for Empson, last name Empson, 4200 Calkins Road, in the amount of $56.44. Letter or email from Mr. Ritter for the recommendation to approve. Please include full forgiveness for 4200 Calkins Road on the agenda for the regular board meeting, 11/22/21. Water pollution control, second would recommend approval. Mr. John Ritter, or Jeff Ritter.
It's a motion,
I can't make a motion, but.
make a motion, approve the $56.44 forgiveness.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Legal. Mr. Bax, anything? Al?
I got nothing in addition to the resolution we've already discussed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Engineering, Mr. Landon.
Yes, just a couple of updates for the board. Fingers crossed that the CSX crossing will be done sometime during the week of, November 29th. So fingers crossed on that. We'll be able to finish up the water line project at that time. We should have a draft of the Park Pavilion project for review, hopefully within a week. And we're just putting the final touches on the Lewiston townwide drainage district. We'll hopefully have that for consideration for the board for the next meeting. So that's it, unless there's any questions of me.
Any questions from the board? No. Okay. Finance, Jackie.
Tonight, is the board to approve the two budget revisions that were submitted with your board packets?
I'll make a motion.
I've had the opportunity to discuss those with Jackie, and I move for approval as printed.
For a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Your guidance. Liaison report.
Let's do the senior center first. The chairs that were needed have been ordered and delivered, and we now have excess chairs. I'd like to move that we put the excess chairs on Auctions International and hope for a bidder. Melinda, how many chairs would we be auctioning off?
Well, we have 125 that we were using, and there's a whole bunch in the shed that
I'll second it.
Actually, with conversation, can I-
Go ahead.
either Bill or Melinda, is the condition terrible on those, or is that something we can float to any of our nonprofit, partners to see if they'd have any interest?
Very useful. All right, go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, some of them are in rough shape, but I think there's a number of them that if you didn't have any chairs, they'd be fabulous to have. Yeah, I think that somebody could probably use them, for sure.
Mr. Chairman, the first motion would be to declare them as excess, again, to be determined by the Department of Minnesota. And then secondly, to authorize, bringing them forward and coordinate with the clerk to get them listed on auctions international, subject to any other department needs. So move on the first one to declare them in excess.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. The second
And
motion?
second motion will be to, Melinda will work with Donna Garfinkel to put them on Auctions International, with the understanding if there's any, local groups that, could use them or departments, that they would have an opportunity to reach out to us.
Okay, is that your motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And, those chairs are going to be better, they're a little bit higher, a little bit more padding. I think the seniors will appreciate them. Second thing has to do with the ice rink. I would very much like to take this opportunity to thank the recreation director, Mike Deschanel, and parks director, David Train, for their hard work in getting the ice rink open. Regretfully, we had an issue with the chiller that postponed it from the opening day of Friday the 19th, but it's been open on Saturday and Sunday. It's been very well attended and very popular. Mr. Deschanel would like to hire 2 more rec aides, Christopher Calisano and Lawson Ingham, as rec aides at $12.50 per hour. I would recommend that, and I'll make a motion for approval, and then we'll bring discussion. So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion?
Mike has said that he needs a full list of people because these kids are so active. And the second reason I think we should hire the good number of rec aides is to get them in line to be our summer rec aides that they've already worked for the town, and that's a plus for us. So I think it's going to be a good addition. And I appreciate Mike reaching out and finding 2 more.
Okay, any further discussion?
Is there money in the budget for those additional spots? Has that been checked with Jackie?
Yes. There's money in the budget for them, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? All right, anything else, Mr. Guida, on your liaison report?
The grand opening or ribbon cutting or whatever we want to call it will take place after Thanksgiving when more board members are in town. And again, I appreciate everything that everybody did, especially the long hours to get the ice in shape so that kids can use it. I've seen the videos of the kids using the ice rink and adults. They seem to enjoy it very much. And hopefully, Mike, the site can be cleaned up best we can. All right, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guida. Mr. Jacoby.
Okay, I have several things all related to the police department. First, I'll read a letter. Dear Chief Previtt, this letter represents my official notice of resignation from my position of captain with the Lewiston Police Department, to be made final on the 19th day of November 2021. It has been with great pleasure to work alongside the officers at Lewiston Police Department, and I will always appreciate the experience and knowledge I gained during my time as captain. Furthermore, please let me know of any help that I could be to train or assist the person that will take over my position. And it's signed by Joshua Kane. So the first motion I will make, I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Joshua Kane as captain of the Town of Lewiston Police Department, effective immediately.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, Mr. Guida.
I just want to make sure there's clarification as to what is second resolution before moving ahead.
Well, okay, I'll do the second one.
Well, we can't do the second one.
Yeah, I have to pass I have to pass this resolution first, this motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, Mr. Jacoby.
No more reservations, Bill?
I'm hoping that the second resolution is what I.
All right, let me make it and you'll find out. The second motion is to appoint Michael Salata as provisional captain, acknowledging that the prior civil service recruitment policies, together with Chief Previtt's canvassing of all qualified individuals for the position, satisfied the notice provisions of the Town of Lewiston handbook. That's a motion.
All in favor? I'm sorry,
Aye.
I'm sorry, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, the third motion is to formally create the position of lieutenant for the Town of Lewiston Police Department. That's a motion.
Is there a second?
It's a motion to formally create the position of lieutenant for the Town of Lewiston Police Department.
We did include that in the budget in September and October. So is it necessary to have a specific motion?
I believe it is, Al.
Yeah, we thought that it would be a good idea just to cover our bases in case position didn't exist prior. This is certainly something that with civil service has been approved, but
If I could,
the town is concerned, we want to make sure that we cover all of our bases.
Right, Chief,
I just want to make the board, the supervisor and everybody aware that that position already has been created and tested for. We followed everything for civil service as well. So that's all in place.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we have a motion. You made your motion in a
Yep.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
The fourth motion is to appoint Brandon Hall as lieutenant. The fourth motion is to appoint Brandon Hall as lieutenant, acknowledging that the civil service recruitment policy satisfied the notice provisions of the Town of Lewiston handbook.
Second. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay. Getting closer to the end. The fifth motion, we'd like to move Emily, Richeal, Reichel, I believe. Rochelle, from part-time to full-time to fill Brandon Hall's position, and the pay will be as per the contract.
There's a motion.
That's a motion.
All right, second by Mr. Guyton. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. And finally, we would like to make a motion to hire Juan Paul to fill Emily's position. And again, the pay will be as per the contract.
What's her position?
Part-time police officer.
And it's a him, it's Juan Paul. Do you have that name, Jackie?
I don't, I just wrote it down now.
Okay.
Okay, you seconded it? I second. All right. Mr. Morial seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Steve, is there any clarification on Josh that needs to go on the record? What do you mean? Well, is the attorney as an officer correct? I don't believe there's any requirement for clarification at this time.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that all, Mr. Jacoby?
Oh, that seems like enough.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Morial.
Cameron, tonight, Jeff Ritter, the Water Pollution Control Center Administrator, asked me to, we want to put forward training for operator trainee Joe Shuey. He'll be eligible to attend a wastewater school starting August 1st, 2022. And the cost of the school is $2,650, and the funds would be taken out of the SS1 fund in 2022.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I think we should make a motion on this, and yes, it is a motion.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the second one is for Mr. Ritter also to hire a part-time watch person. And he has a person in place, Jocelyn Pinson is a part-time position with a starting pay of $15.22 an hour. I'd like to make a motion to hire her.
I second that as well.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Anything else there?
Thank you. Anybody else?
No, I don't have anything else.
Right, Mr. Myers.
Yeah, just some announcements on some events up in Sanborn from the Business and Professional Association and the Historical Society. On December 5th, there's going to be a sing-along at the church building on the grounds of the Historical Society. And Christmas at the Farm on December 11th and 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lots of activities, Santa Claus with the kids. And Light Up Sanborn on December 19th at 6:30 p.m. at the Farm Museum. And also want to mention Shop Local and Shop Sanborn on November 26th, 27th, and 28th. It's the Black Friday after Thanksgiving for local businesses to support them.
Okay, that's it. All right, back on resident statements. Is there anyone on Zoom? Any resident that would like to make any comments or any statements?
I would like to wish everyone here a very happy and blessed Thanksgiving for all of you. And it's been a wonderful year. But John, we're gonna miss you, but you got one more month to go.
I know.
Okay.
I'll try to make the meeting.
Okay.
Thanks, Louise.
All right, thank you. Yes. Yes, sir.
Mike, do you want me to include that other email that you sent me, or should we just let it slide? That's up to you, Bill. I can address it just briefly. I don't think I need more action, really. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all. Sorry, Bill.
All right, you're all set?
Yeah, all set.
Okay. Upcoming boards and commission meetings, just note that the town hall offices will be closed Thanksgiving Day, November 25th, and the Friday following, November 26th. The zoning board of appeals will meet on December 9th at 6:30. The town board work session will be December 13th at 6 p.m. The historic preservation commission will meet December 14th at 5:45 p.m. The Environmental Commission will meet on December 14th at 7 p.m. Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee will meet at 7 p.m. on December 15th. The Planning Board will meet December 16th at 6:30. And that's it.
Have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Motion to adjourn.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bill and Steve.
Second?
Second to adjourn.
All in favor?
Second.
All right, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.